So I would like to discuss a couple of questions from General Studies 1, a few things from our essay, maybe a case study from the ethics paper. So firstly, starting with the essay paper, because the essay paper is very, very important, because that is where you get to showcase your creativity, your ability to write something different from others. And that is why the difference in marks also can be massive in the essay paper. Now, for the essay paper, I wrote on cooperative federalism and how need brings greed and greed spoiling the breed. So I wrote on these two topics, and my style of writing the essay was I put across my stand very clearly from the start itself, especially in an essay like cooperative federalism. Is it a reality or a myth? So it's asking for your stand over there itself. So there is no point dilly-dallying here and there. And it's very important to put across what you feel about the topic. So I did start off with a historical background of cooperative federalism and how across countries at the international level, what federalism has meant in various countries, how the federalism has been there in the US, but the Great Britain always followed a unitary system. So it was that kind of an introduction. And after the first paragraph itself, I put across my stand that yes, cooperative federalism is a reality, because because look at most of these schemes today, look at our constitutional provisions where center-state rules are divided so well. Look at Article 301 where freedom of trade is given so much importance. So many of the constitutional provisions I listed down about how they do support cooperative federalism. Then across some of the schemes that have come out, I mentioned how they are supporting cooperative federalism. I mentioned about GST and how the GST Council has both members of the state and the center, and how it's even in financial matters, cooperative federalism has become important. I mentioned about the cultural aspect, how something like an incredible India got diversified into beautiful Bengal and vibrant Gujarat. So even there we have cooperative federalism. So across the whole essay, that was my stand, and I think that worked, because I did get quite decent marks in the essay. I think I got 154. So it's very important to showcase your stand and to let the examiner know that you have clarity of thought and you have a balanced perspective at the same time, that you believe in what you write. And another very important thing in the essay is that it's very important to maintain a flow across paragraphs. There should not be a feeling that okay, it's completely disjointed. There should be a flow. It should be interesting, and it should be creative, because the essay itself gives you a lot of space to innovate and to write good points. And so after the essay, the second thing that I would like to discuss is about the General Studies Paper 1. General Studies Paper 1 is a lot of the preparation for General Studies Paper 1 can be done with the prelims preparation, because a lot of it is static. So right before General Studies 1, you can refresh your prelims short notes or your prelims centric preparation. It may not be so specific, but the prelims preparation helps a lot for General Studies 1. Then again, the knowledge aspect is there because of the prelims preparation, but getting that 1 mark extra in the question, now that can be done by writing some unique points, or maybe writing something different. So that was my aim for General Studies 1. For example, in the question on women, the importance of women in the Indian freedom struggle, especially during the Gandhian phase. So I tried to maintain a structure where I would focus on how women at the grassroots level helped women across geography, across various places helped, and how women across various movements, right from the non-cooperation movement to the Quit India movement, how they help. So it wasn't very one-dimensional. I tried to make it multi-dimensional. I mentioned about Margaret Cousins and Sarojini Naidu and their and how they pushed the adult suffrage for women. I wrote about Annie Besant. I wrote about Rani Gaidnilu, who was in the news that time. And so that just came into my mind, and tried to put in the importance of someone from the Northeast contributing to the whole movement. I wrote about Kasturba Gandhi because she did popularize the khadi and the village movement during the Gandhian phase. So it's in a question that gives you the space to kind of innovate. It's important to put in things from here and there so that the answer can look special. And then similarly for General Studies paper 2, there was the question on the 69th Amendment and the dynamics between the Delhi Chief Minister and the Lieutenant Governor. So even there, it's very important to take a stand about what you feel, whether in a democracy it is essential for an elected government to have powers, or is it okay? So here again, I wrote about Article 239 AA, which deals with the NCR and the relations between the Delhi CM and the Lieutenant Governor. Secondly, I think I wrote about about how ministers are appointed by the president, and how public order, land and police are under the central government. So how this itself is creating a friction with the Delhi elected government, Delhi CM. Also, the issue of the CM not having powers to appoint his own officers. So here you can take either stand. Either it can be of this kind, or it can be a stand where it's supporting the Lieutenant Governor. For example, police across various national capitals has been under the central government. You look at the case of London, it's under the central government. So you can also take that stand, that it's important for the central government with the LG at the top having power over various issues. It can be either or, but the stand has to be very clear, and there has to be clarity of thought. So this was General Studies paper 2, where I kind of stuck to these things. Then coming to the case studies, the ethics paper, and the importance of showing a little bit of creativity there as well. I feel the first 12 questions do leave a lot of scope for writing innovative answers. Even questions on anger, emotional quotient, questions on Kautilya, question on Weber's bureaucracy. I think all these questions you can innovate and put in points from your own side. Answers that are not from the textbook, answers that you yourself feel about strongly, your own opinions, your stand. So in these 12 questions, there is that scope to make diagrams, to put in points that you feel in day-to-day activities and all of that. So that is one aspect. And with respect to case study, it's very important again to maintain a very balanced perspective about any issue. For example, there was the question on a destitute woman with no documents coming up to the officer in charge and asking for help, but having no documents, it's very difficult for the officer to really verify. So here one has to consider the means ends paradigm, whether the end is good, whether the means are justified, and revolve your answers around that, because that is what one would do even at the field level when one is working. Whether the end result of helping the woman is justified. Of course it is, without any doubt. So now the means would be to have some methodology where the documents can be can be arranged at a later stage, or your junior officers can help in getting those documents in place. So I think with respect to case studies, it's very important that the overall macro opinion comes across very clearly, and that is across all the case studies where you are trying to balance the means and end paradigm. And so with that's what I felt across all the case studies, that is something that's important. Then after that, I would like to speak about my optional, which was public administration, and the importance of choosing the right optional. According to me, optional should be chosen only on the basis of interest, because it requires long hours of studying. It requires a lot of answer writing, lot of in-depth understanding of concepts. So if you're not interested in the optional, it becomes very difficult. And changing optional midway is a very bad decision, because there are people, your friends competing with you in this examination are people who have put in a lot more effort in those optionals. It becomes very difficult to catch up from scratch. So before choosing the optional, it's important to go through the syllabus, to read basic books, and to first understand whether that subject evokes interest. Once that is done, there is no looking back on changing optional or anything of that sort. So public administration was my optional because I've always liked understanding grassroots level, national level, and even state level implementation of policies. So that was one of the major reasons I found understanding the constitutional provisions, the history behind them, very interesting. And that was the reason I took public administration. And I would say, to do well in public administration, it's very important to have conceptual clarity in the first paper, because it's administration as a whole. It's not Indian administration. It's the basics of administration, the importance of thinkers and their concepts, its interlinkages with the societal surroundings. So the first paper requires a lot of conceptual clarity, and the second paper, which is the Indian administration, requires you to interlink concepts of the first paper with the second paper. That is of great help, because Indian administration has a link with the administrative thinkers, because many of the things that they mentioned are very much relevant even today. So it's important to bring in that bridge to make your answer a little specialist oriented. Otherwise, it's very easy to be general, to write answers from a generalist perspective. So public administration, again, answer writing is critical. That is because it's a game of expression again. So writing a lot of answers will help you interlink concepts, and it will help you bring good marks.